What's the most fucked up thing someone has told you about themselves after barely getting to know them? I coached cross-country for a number of years when I taught high school. We had a kid join the team who was a pretty good runner. A few weeks into the season I went to a football game to support some of my students. While I was there, this new kid's mother came over and talked to me a bit. She said, "I'm a little worried about him running so hard. His daddy died of heart problems." Then she paused and said, "Well, not the man he thinks is his daddy, but his actual daddy." I spent the next 3 years convinced that I was going to accidentally spill the beans to that poor kid. I helped a handicapped person across the street a month ago, while thanking me. He told me he killed his brother because he raped his wife. I had a lady start at my job and in a very quick succession. She told me a lot about her sex life with her husband, and then dropped the bomb that her step-kids got taken away because her husband was a pedophile. Then shortly after that, invited me to a Christmas party at her house. I declined. I got hired at a Dunkin' Donuts in a very small town in Maine. The general manager disclosed with me during the interview that she had slept with her biological father. She wanted to make sure I heard it from her before I heard it from anyone else. A woman sat next to me on a plane once and randomly told me that when her husband had his buddies over, she would strip naked and let them have their way with her, and that her husband was into it. Okay. I was working in the oil field and I can't remember exactly what I was doing, but I was in our tool shack putting something together, and one of the indigenous guys we employed while working on their land came in and just opened with the fact his wife committed suicide in bed beside him one night and he woke up to that. Then proceeded to tell me he got new rims for his truck but they didn't fit. So he needed to get a new truck for his rims. Woman at church told me she couldn't figure out why her teen daughter lived with her father and had gone no contact. It was because that woman had accused that daughter, at 11, of seducing her stepfather. She honestly couldn't figure out what the problem might have been. A couple of my friends introduced me to this dude they were friends with, whose name was John. John was a bouncer at a local strip club and confessed that he slept with all the hot strippers on a regular basis. He told me he gets a fresh, beautiful woman in his bed once a week at a minimum. He then went on to tell me he's had so many STDs that it was like he was trying to collect them or something because he's too stupid to wear a condom when he drinks. He told a story about his dick dripping yellow discharge and burning like fire. His friends joked that the doctors were going to name the next new STD after John. Then he started hitting on me and making me very uncomfortable, so my friend Max told him to fuck off. The guy was like, "I'm a bouncer, and I'll fuck you up." Max gave him a shove, and he backed down, but it was a bit scary for a minute. Had a Lyft driver in Boston tell me about fleeing Russia, BC. He saw his wife raped and murdered in front of him. It was like a 5-minute ride. I went to a strip club and a dancer sat down with me at the bar. She told me that she has a man bitch back at her house who does everything for her, the laundry, dishes, pays her bills. She asked me to come back to her place and fuck her right in front of him and to fuck him to show him his place. I don't even think I told her my name before she started talking. This drunk girl sat next to me at a bar the other night and after locking me into a conversation went on to describe her second DUI and how it had killed someone. She went on to describe why it was the catalyst to her relationship ending and why she could never win him back after that. Needless to say, I noped the fuck out of there pretty quick. First day at a new job. In an office where the president of the organization worked. Think office formal. New coworker tells me about a threesome her and her partner had and described symptoms, asking if I thought it was gonorrhea. Definite overshare, I thought. I have worked as a house painter a lot over the years. One Saturday I was on the job site alone. I'm a woman, by the way, and the sheetrockers foreman was there on the phone having one of those conversations you know you are meant to hear. He was being a big man and laying down the law to whoever he was taking to. After, he came in and started talking at me and clearly trying to impress me. Finally he said something like, "Well, I just got out of jail." Insert moment where I could tell he wanted me to ask, "What were you in for?" I obliged just to get this conversation over with. He looks around like someone might be spying, and replies, "Murder." FFS. People are weird. Did he expect me to swoon? Run? Be afraid? Was he testing to see how damaged I am and if that's my mating call? That he was cheating on his wife. He was drunk, sitting next to my table in a bar. He showed no remorse. A close friend invited me out for dinner to meet her boyfriend. Within 5 minutes of sitting down he told me he wasn't allowed to have his kid overnight, he was adopted, the product of rape, and that he wasn't racist, but why do all black people smell like that? Grimacing face. He also ordered a bucket of beer, then put it down on the floor next to him so no one else could have any. Doctors and nurses of Reddit, what is something patients do that they think is helpful but actually makes your job harder? Being extra cute. Makes it harder to leave the bedside and go chart when I just want to sit and hold them instead. Unamused face. I'm a NICU nurse. When the really nice ones don't ring, and then all of a sudden they actually ring. Then you go in, and they're like, "I'm sorry to be a bother, I've been uncomfortable most of the night, or I couldn't sleep all night. Girl/ma/m/buddy/ms/whichever, you should have called to let me know. My job is to make sure you are comfortable, and taken care of. You are not a bother because you don't ring at all for anything, and now I have to check up on you more often, because I low-key feel bad that I didn't do my job. I love these patients, by the way. They make my job a little more tolerable, because they truly need my help." Dentist here. I hate when parents tell their scared kids that if they don't brush their teeth, the DR, will have to give them a big shot. It's usually accompanied with side eye to me and a look that says I'm the devil. Like my job isn't hard enough. Please STFU. Save antibiotics for later when someone else needs them. When I try to assess my patient and the family members won't stop answering. This is mainly a frustration towards the lack of health literacy in today's society, but when patients have an allergy list a mile long, but none of them are actually allergies. You are not allergic to Benadryl because it makes you sleepy, that's a side effect. And yes, some side effects are truly awful. But they aren't allergies, and sometimes the side effects are worth dealing with short term to fix the problem you're having. Coming to the nursing station instead of using the call light. Family members standing in the hallway staring at you instead of using the call light. I removed my Uber Eats complaint because I forgot what the thread was about and just kept complaining, lol. Guys, if you're being neglected, this doesn't pertain to you. I'm not that insensitive. Escalating to find care if your light has been going off for an extended period is fine. This is about the unit clerk sitting there with no call lights on, and instead of using the bell, the family or patient is interrupting me with another patient to ask me to heat up their dinner or staring daggers at me across the hall like I have telepathy. Also adding, this post isn't about unanswered call lights. This is about just not using the light at all. Everyone and their mother has a story about their call light going unanswered, myself included. This is about the family that stops me mid-med pass in the hall to ask to fix the sink dripping. Use the light and the unit clerk can page engineering. Nothing patients do makes our lives harder than the financial cuts that administration lay on us. AR nurse. People walk into the triage with no or poor knowledge of their own medical history. No knowledge of the meds they are taking or what they are for. It's absurd. I've had fathers bring in their children who don't know their history, if they have allergies, some don't even know their birth date. Please take your regular medicines before your appointment. I can't titrate your blood pressure meds if I'm only seeing your unmedicated blood pressure. There are times when you might need to hold meds before a procedure or surgery, but when you're coming to see your primary care doctor, take your meds like normal. Also, we almost never have people fast before blood work anymore. It doesn't make my job harder, but I do feel bad when people are hungry for no reason. Lie, minimize symptoms. As Dr. House says, everybody lies. Go to the bathroom by themselves and dump the hat. I didn't want to bother you. Yeah, you're here for CHF and we've told you a dozen times need to measure your output. Please stop doing that. Alternatively, go to the bathroom themselves because they didn't want to bother us, but disconnect multiple wires/machines in the process of doing so, and now we gotta straighten everything out. It can be hard to get someone to come in for the bathroom, and that's justified to go solo if nobody comes, but not asking at all to even give a chance for someone to come is so frustrating. So one of the most common thing patients often do, thinking it helps, is self-diagnose and come in completely attached to that diagnosis. It's totally understandable, people Google their symptoms because they're worried, but when someone is fixed on one idea, it can make it harder for doctors and nurses to properly assess the situation with an open mind. Dentist. Telling their kid if they don't behave they will get a shot. Threatening your kid with the punishment of getting treatment they might even actually need today or in the near future is the worst thing you could do. Kids also don't respond well to that. They behave worse when they are scared. Me? I am just a medical imaging tech. Been doing nuke med for 34 years and nothing patients do, except for showing up late, irks me. Took me a little to understand that I am working with people who are nervous and scared. What can almost immediately kill you that most people don't know of? Choking. 1 minute you're binging Netflix at home. Next minute you're on the ground until someone finds you. Cool, this thread has made me terrified of everything. Thanks. I think people really underestimate how deadly driving in cars are. Delta P. It's an underwater pressure imbalance. If you're swimming near a dam, a drain, or a broken pipe and get stuck over the opening, the water pressure holds you there with thousands of pounds of force. You don't even have to be deep, once it grabs you, it's over. Carbon monoxide. People may know it's dangerous, but without a detector in your house, you would never know about it until it was too late. Silent heart attacks. People think heart attacks are all dramatic clutching chest falling down, but lots of them just feel like mild indigestion or a little arm discomfort. People ignore it and just don't make it. I learned today if you use a massage gun on your neck, it can mess with the flow of blood to your brain and cause a stroke. Falling over. The G-force a person's head will experience falling from standing upright to the ground is basically right on the threshold of fatal. This is why when people fall with no instinct to catch themselves or protect their head, such as when they faint or if they're punched and knocked out, the impact can kill them. Infections. Specifically, sepsis. At least 1.7 million adults in the United States develop sepsis each year, with around 270,000 dying as a result. Sepsis is the body's life-threatening reaction to an infection, and can occur with both external and internal ones. It is an incredibly common, yet unknown, acute killer. Sepsis takes more lives annually than heart attacks, lung cancer, and breast cancer. It can kill an adult in a mere 12 hours, not exactly an immediate killer like you asked, but a gigantic and quick one. A simple cut, scraped knee, or even a nicked cuticle can lead to it. As can UTIs, kidney stones, pneumonia, bacterial and viral infections, ECT. The list of risks goes on and on. The signs and symptoms to watch out for are fever, chills, lethargy, nausea and vomiting, higher than usual heart rate/BMP, known as tachycardia, rapid breathing, confused mental status/consciousness, and a few other lesser experienced symptoms. If you believe that you or a loved one has sepsis based on their symptoms, go to your nearest emergency room and tell them you suspect sepsis. Source: for ex-sepsis survivor who is incredibly lucky to be alive. I was left with permanent organ damage and multiple disabilities that affect me every day of my life. I am posting this with the hope it may just save a Redditor's life someday. Hippos. People are always shocked to find out hippos are nature's perfect killing machine. Not anchoring heavy furniture to the wall. Agitated water. Like when there's waves crashing or boat motors running, water gets full of tiny air bubbles and loses buoyancy. Even good swimmers can suddenly sink and drown. Lifeguards know this one, but most people never heard of it. Sewage gases will kill you. Toilets need to be vented, otherwise the backup gases would become fatal. Your own immune system can kill you in 15 minutes. Kind of obscure, but the capacitor in microwaves. Even days after being unplugged, it can release enough electricity to kill you. How do you feel about the Federal SAVE Act that would require documentary proof of U.S. citizenship, like a passport or birth certificate, to register to vote? Sure, as long as you make obtaining those things easy and free. I just turned 60. My license was going to expire, so I thought I would finally get my real ID since my passport is expired. A few days before my birthday, I brought my birth certificate, social security card, state-issued ID, driver's license, and a ton of bank statements, mortgage statements, tax documents, utility bills, etc. My name on my ID matches my birth certificate exactly, but the DMV wouldn't accept my birth certificate, the same one I have used my entire life for licenses, jobs, passports, etc. So, I went online and ordered a new birth certificate. They require a notarized document. I went to the notary, who couldn't accept my license because the extension is on a piece of paper. I have to wait a few weeks for my new driver's license to come in the mail. Once I can finally get the form notarized, I will submit it with additional fees to Vital Records, and wait 6 weeks for the new style birth certificate. Once I receive that, I have to go back to the DMV for a real ID. This will cost me a day or two of work and around $250 in fees. I still have to tackle getting my passport, which was originally issued in my married name. Imagine the fun that will be. Plus it will cost another $250 or so. My very white family has been in this country for at least 5 generations. I am able to take time off of work and pay for all the associated fees. Many people cannot. It is already illegal to vote if you are not a citizen. You already have to attest to being a citizen on the ballot. The Heritage Foundation, along with several other organizations and agencies, have looked into voter fraud and votes cast by those here illegally. They found that 0.003% of votes were fraudulent, and almost all fraud was by U.S. citizens. The SAVE Act is based on a false premise. It is specifically designed to lower the number of voters, especially women, minority, and lower-income voters. Imagine all the people who cannot go through what I am going through due to work or care for others, or because they cannot afford all of the fees. This is a con and outrageous. It took me like 2 months to get a passport in 2023 and cost me $130. Now they have gone up to $160. It costs $555 to get a replacement naturalization certificate, and I had to wait 10 months to get one in 2014. I watched a video of a man that was adopted at birth and his adoptive parents changed his name. He had to travel across state lines to the county he was born in to get a birth certificate. These are not cheap or easy documents to get for a lot of people. We already show ID to register to vote in the first place. Adding more hurdles is an effort to suppress the vote, and guess whose votes will be the first to be suppressed? Everyone should read this Reddit post about how Georgia makes it super easy to register to vote in white Republican areas and hard as hell to do in Atlanta, and calls it voting integrity. An expensive solution to a problem that didn't exist. If they do that, they should make it free to get such ID, and easily accessible. They won't though, because preventing some citizens from voting is the point. Fine, as long as getting those documents are free, easy, and efficient so that it's not a barrier for citizens to vote. Surprise, surprise, it's not free, easy, or efficient, and this administration is working to make it harder. ID? Fine. Make it national. Make it free. Make Election Day a national holiday. Automatically register everyone. Then ID requirements are fine. The SAVE Act? Voter suppression. Also, the fine print puts Christy Puppy Slaughter in charge of elections. As long as they make at least one acceptable form of ID free to everyone, easily available, and give ample advance notice, minimum 1 year from enactment to enforcement, I have no problem with it. Let them have their useless dog and pony show. But the SAVE Act does not do that, it just throws up hurdles, and its obvious goal is voter suppression. There are 3 people in my house. I have an up-to-date passport. One has a passport in BC, but they have her pre-marriage name. One has a BC, but she also changed her name, and it's a multi-month waitlist. Neither of them knew they would be not allowed to vote under this act until I told them. That's why I don't support this law. What people don't seem to realize, is that any IDs you normally carry and use to prove your identity, do not prove your citizenship. SSN card and/or driver's license do not verify citizenship. The SAVE Act would require you to provide documentation to prove your citizenship. For most, this means a passport, which certifies that you have previously proven your citizenship to the federal government, or a birth certificate. If you show up at the polls with a driver's license and an old copy of a birth certificate, the names must match and they have to believe the validity of the birth certificate. Ask Obama how hard it is to convince people that your birth certificate is real. Ask your mother if her driver's license has the same name as her birth certificate. The push for this is based on the evidence-free assertion that there is a large portion of non-citizens trying to vote. It's just not so and makes no sense. It's hard to get most people to vote at all. Why would a non-citizen take the trouble and high risk or trying to vote when the result of getting caught is jail, fine, expulsion, and ban on re-entry? It is much more likely that people who should be able to vote will be unable to prove and or not try because of the new hurdles. Lots of people do not have a copy of birth documents. They are lost and destroyed all the time. My great-grandmother lost her birth certificate in the Chicago fire, and all government's records were also lost. Very late in life, she wanted to travel out of the country and spent years collecting affidavits and going to court in order to get certification of her citizenship. Under this law, she would never have been allowed to vote. This is just one example, I know, but a good example of how just because you have ID and SSN does not mean you can prove your voting status. No state has ever required proof of citizenship to vote. It is required that you prove ID, residency, and only attest to citizenship and right to vote. It costs money and time to find/acquire the evidence you need to get federal ID proving citizenship, documents you don't need to live, work, go to school, vote, get medical care, get old or die, only to travel outside the country, work certain government jobs, acquire government secret clearance and qualify as president. Rich people will hire lawyers to acquire the citizenship documents. No big deal. Poor people will just shrug and never vote again. This is the point. The US has always rejected the notion that only wealthy, educated, land-owning aristocracy should have a say in what the government does. The SAVE Act is a snowjob that is really attempting to disenfranchise poor voters, more than they already are. There are bigger things to worry about than voter fraud, but they can take my mail-in ballot from my cold dead hands. Standing in line for hours when I'm supposed to work? TF is that BS? That's the real crime. I did that when I first turned 18. Then my state went mail-in. As for presenting my birth certificate, the DMV has had that for 31 years. I have a little star on my CDL that says the DMV saw my birth certificate and have a copy on file. Passport? What the fuck is the point of real ID if I can't vote with it? JFC. Stop putting in barriers to voting. Y'all need to ask yourself why the people in power don't want more people to vote. What did she do or say that made you go, wow, she's really good in bed? I had a girl give me head that was so good I was hyperventilating when she was done. Like, I literally couldn't stop and she had to come up and kiss me and calm me down. I saw stars when she made me come. I still think about it. This was before we got to bed, but I showed a coworker a picture of my pet cats and then she grabbed her crotch and said, "This is the only pussy you need to care about, baby." I knew the dirty talk would be good, so I invited her to Waffle House when our overnight shift ended. She was amazing but wrong. I love my cats more than ever. Got on top of me, lubed me up, and put it in her own butt. If you want to impress a man, you don't want him to think about how many other men or how many other times you must have done something in order to build great technical skill in handling a penis or prostate. Instead, you want him to think about how much he feels desired by you and how much enthusiasm you have for sex with him. She didn't roll around a lot, didn't take the blankets all to herself. The best ones were the ones that wanted to cuddle all night. All weekend long except to eat, shit, shower and nap. Damn girl wore me out. Screwed, blew me, swallowed every drop, licked her lips and kissed me after. Hot AF. While looking me straight in the eyes. She paused mid-ride, stared into my soul and whispered, "Rate my pussy 1 to 10 or I stop." I said, 11. She smirked, clenched like a black hole, and goes, "Correct. Extra credit round unlocked." I blacked out and woke up, my legs trembling. "Oh yeah, sorry, I'm a bit of a squirter." She orgasmed on first penetration. Made me feel like a sex god. On the first date, I'm into butt stuff, and on the second, spit in my mouth, I knew she was a keeper. It's okay. You can facefuck me, I like it. Prostate massage. Multiple rounds, connecting hot talk, enthusiasm. I had a girl swallow it so fucking deep that it literally stung the tip of my knob, seriously felt like someone was pinching the side of it. I couldn't believe it and she would just hold it there and she could def tell I was squirming like a little worm. Then after that she proceeded to hold me down by my neck and squat up and down on it for well over 10 minutes, choking and hitting me in the face. Literally the craziest sex Eve ever had in my life. Still with her, still in pain, still gonna do it again.